Hey folks, Matt Easton here, Scholar Gladiator. So this video is by popular demand and it is because you love my ring, or more specifically the ring of my cutlasses. So I'm going to use a variety of cutlasses. It just so happened so I've been kind of chuckling when I've been seeing people posting underneath my videos going, you should do a video of just the sound of different swords. But this is a really specialised version of that. This is just cutlasses. In fact, it's all variations of the British 1845 pattern Royal Navy cutlass. And I'm going to be really scientific about it, okay? So I'm going to test the ring of each of these swords. For any of you who are musically gifted out there, feel free to post underneath what you think the notes are of these different cutlasses. And I'm going to be scientific about it, I'm going to use my very specialised instrument that I have for beating things with, and that's my finger, okay? So I'm going to ding each of these sabres in turn. So to begin with, let's have a look at a fairly typical 1845 pattern Royal Navy cutlass. So here we have the first one, 1845 pattern, in reasonably good condition with sort of what I would describe as salt and pepper patina. So it has been rusty at some point and then cleaned, so it does have some pitting in the guard, but it's all in good solid condition. One of the ways that we test or know that something is in quite a tight solid condition is by the ringing sound that we get. There's a very specialised method for holding sabres if you want them to ring nicely, and that is to take one finger and insert it right through there, okay? And then, in fact, it might be better with a thumb. Let's do a thumb. And then take a knuckle here and hit the blade roughly in the middle, slightly nearer the edge, I found, okay? So nearer the edge, you get a better ring. So, yes, 1845 pattern, reasonable condition. This incidentally is sharp, so I'll be relatively careful. Don't try this at home, kids. This is extremely dangerous. But let's see what note this cutlass makes. I missed! Let's go again. That's a nice noise, isn't it? Let's go again. That's quite a consistent noise, isn't it? And you'll notice one of the reasons cutlasses ring so well is because they have an iron grip, an iron guard, and they're peened here, so the whole hilt assembly is incredibly solid without anything really to absorb that vibration in the blade. Let's go one more time with this one. So what note is that? It's a nice one anyway, isn't it? Now, let's have a little look at this one. This one's in nicer condition. I actually haven't cleaned this yet, but when I have cleaned it, it should come up very, very nicely. It's almost sharp, not quite sharp. It's still got the paint remaining on the hilt. Incidentally, these normally have black paint on the grips and the guards to protect them from rust, essentially. I imagine on board ship the blades probably were kept quite greasy as well. So insert the thumb through there, the specialised Eastern gripping method for ringing your weapon. Okay, take your knuckle. Remember, we're aiming for the edge of the middle of the blade. Let's go. Missed again. Oh, much higher pitched, isn't it? Let's go again. I might have to change knuckle in a minute. This is hurting my knuckles a bit. Let's do index knuckle. Completely consistent sound, so a much higher pitch. What note do you think that is? An A, a B? I don't know. I did learn music at school when I was playing trombone, incidentally, but I can't remember what different notes sound like. Quite a high pitch, that one. Right, so let's try another one. Here we have a relatively recent acquisition. This is a fairly rare thing in that it is actually marked to Wilkinson. Let's turn it around that way. There we go. So why does it always want to focus on my face? There we go. Focus on the sword. There we go. So you can see it says Wilkinson on the blade. Fairly unusual. At this period, they were mostly making officers' swords, not regulation swords for the military. But let's give it a good old ring. So again, the Eastern specialised thumb gripping method. Get a knuckle ready, aiming for the edge in the middle of the blade. Oh, it's even higher. It's an even higher note. Or is it? Yeah, I think it is. Why would that be a higher note? I honestly just don't know. I don't know if it's got something to do with the exact form of the blade or something to do with the hilt or the heat treatment. I just honestly don't know. That's quite a high pitched, isn't it, that one? Right, and Finally, this one should be higher pitched, I'm guessing, because it's a shorter blade. Okay, so this is the, in 1887, this one's actually marked 1888, but in 1887, and I imagine 88 as well, they were adapting some of these, cutlasses, and you'll notice that it's shorter than the standard one. It's got about a 26, 27-inch blade, as opposed to the more normal 29-inch blade. Okay, so thumb through the guard there. Let's give this a ring. Oh, that doesn't really work at all, does it? Oh, that's lame. That's really disappointing. So it does ring a bit. So, and I can tell you exactly what the reason for that is. There's a tiny bit of movement in the guard. So, and funnily enough, I can see some indentations. You might be able to see if I make it, there we go. Some little marks in there where they've obviously tried to tighten the guard. So through use, this guard has got loose and they've tightened it again. The result is not as it doesn't ring as much as those others that had. That's really lame, isn't it? Rubbish. Okay, I didn't expect that to be as bad as it was. Right, now, these aren't 1845 cutlasses, but they're related to them. The first one here is, you'll notice it's scaled up. Okay, it is a lead cutter and it is sharp, and it's made by Wilkinson. I'll just, I have shown these before. There we go, just focus on the blade. You can see there, it says lead cutter. Wilkinson and Pall Mall. This is the lead cutter number 1, so theoretically this is the smallest of the lead cutters. If I just hold it up next to the Wilkinson 1845 Cutlass, you can see it is a little bit longer, but it's a lot wider. The hilts are basically the same, identical, but the blade on the lead cutter is bigger. Now, for any of you who don't know, what lead cutters were used for was cutting lead. Bars of lead, so-called sword feet. So if you were a practicing swordsman, you would practice the power of your cut by using one of these lead cutters to cut a specially cast lead bar. The lead bars are triangular in cross-section, varying between 1 inch on each face and 2 inches on each face. So usually they were 1 inch or 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches. For the really strong, you'd have a 2 inch across, which is a very considerably big bar of lead, and you'd have a hard job getting through that. And with one big swing, starting, I can't do it because there's a wall behind me, but starting like this, bam, you'd cut, usually with a horizontal cut, you'd aim to sever the bar of lead in one blow. And that was, if you could do that, you were regarded as good. And then you would increase the size of your lead cutter, you would increase the size of your lead bar, and that's how you would kind of, it's like increasing weights at the gym, okay? So, lead cutter, does this ring? I imagine it should do, okay, because it is just a scaled up version of the 1845 Cutlass. So let's go. Oh, that's quite a nice low one, isn't it? Nice, it's a bit like a church bell. That's quite a pleasing sound, isn't it? It's not 100% tight, it doesn't ring as well as some of the others, but it does ring pretty damn well. But there you go, Wilkinson number 1 lead cutter, dating to about 1870. So yeah, nice thing, that's how that rings. Now, actually I'll keep hold of that. So I mentioned that this is a scaled up one, and this is the number 1 lead cutter. They came in, strictly speaking, 4 sizes, although not all companies used those 4 numbers. For example, Mole didn't bother numbering theirs as far as I've seen. So this is the number 1. There is a number 2, number 3, number 4. They get bigger. This is a number 4. Okay, the number 4 has an enormous 34.5, I think, inch blade on it that is immensely wide. This one weighs, to put that down, this one weighs over 4 pounds. I think it's about 4.25 pounds, something like that. But it should, in theory, and this one is really sharp as well, it's just a hilarious thing. It's the love child of a cutlass and I don't even know, a Kandar or something enormous. But this should ring like the others. So let's thumb through position, the Eastern gripping method, knuckle at the ready, aiming for the middle of the blade on the edge. Oh, that's a nice ring. That's a really pleasing ring, isn't it? And higher pitched than I expected. Let's just get my thumb away from the tang. This, incidentally, you'll notice, isn't an 1845 grip construction. This is actually a full width tang, and this is a slightly later style. This probably dates, it's probably a later one, probably dates to about 1890, 1900. That is a nice ring, isn't it? So in my books, the best ringing ones are this one. Oh, pretty nice, okay. This one. That one is sweet. That's really nice. And this one. Oh, let's get that right way around. Nice. That's a good ring. And finally, this one. Oh. That is nice. Right, if you know any of those notes, if you're musically minded, feel free to post below. Maybe next time I do this with my cutlasses, I'll actually try to play a tune of some kind. Maybe, you know, something really classic, maybe some Beethoven or something like that. I don't know. I might have to get more swords, oh no, so I've got all the notes. I know this is extremely silly, but I hope that there was some historical information and interest rolled in there. And also, you know, it's nice to see a whole bunch of cutlasses, isn't it? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you for my next silly or serious video. Cheers, folks. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. We've got extra videos on Patreon, t-shirts on Spreadshirt, and I hope to see you for the next video.